Welcome to the Call the Farms podcast, a place where we explore the journey of food and farming. From our table to your table, I'm your host, Tim Ng, joined with my lovely wife, Sophie.
Hey, friends.
We are on a mission to inspire, educate, and connect you with stories from other local farmers and other real food enthusiasts of all kinds in pursuit of true nourishment. Well, this evening, we're going to be doing one of our updates, and I'm super excited that we're finding time to do this.
What time is it? I always like to check. 11:23 p.m. It's just that it takes us some time to get set up and clean up and everything too, and our thoughts put together. Well, we're so excited to get started and let you know what the update is and what we've been up to this week and how the housing market is doing. But before we get started, I wanted to thank our sponsors for this episode, Redmond's Real Salt. Redmond's Real Salt is a product that we use consistently in our home because their product is the best quality. It's unrefined salt based out in Utah. One of my favorite products, especially while I'm traveling or when I'm out in the garden, is the Relight, which is an electrolyte.
Yeah, and you don't like to drink regular water, so
I do.
Perfect that you can just use the Relight. Those are your favorite products. I love the organic garlic salt and the organic onion salt because together I make some really good steak. And you make delicious Asian cuisine, but I'm really good at American cooking. And I love cooking steak and salmon. I love using this. Also, we've been doing taco night every week.
Tuesdays.
The Tuesdays. I like hard shell. She likes soft shell, but try the taco seasoning. It's delicious.
It's also saved our marriage. Do you want to tell me a quick story?
Saved our marriage. Yes, she is the author of The Nourishing Asian Kitchen, but she also found out that sometimes I used to go to Taco Bell and she'd say, "What are you doing to your body? Why are you going to Taco Bell?" I said, "Well, you don't like Mexican food and I crave tacos sometimes." So she's like, "You know what, we're going to make some tacos at home." So
Redmonds, you have saved our marriage. Thank you for an amazing taco seasoning.
Yeah. And you too can enjoy Redmond's products. They're organic, natural, it's clean, and it adds a little bit of seasoning so that it spices up your food. You can enjoy it too with, what's the code?
Good Soil. We'll have the link down below. If you click on that and punch in the code Good Soil, you'll get 15% off your order.
So check them out. Last weekend, we had the Farm Where You Live conference.
It was the first time you and I officially shared a stage together at a homesteading conference.
Yep.
And I went on to talk about how to build community and how I was able to cultivate the community that we have that allows us to not have to be dependent on the grocery store and also support our local farmers and homesteaders. And you spoke about...
Talked about traditional natural farming using Asian farming techniques. I got to introduce a lot of people on Japanese natural farming, Korean natural farming, and Chinese natural farming. I actually got some feedback online for folks that actually showed up to the talk and they started looking up Jadam afterwards. And that's awesome. That really warms my heart because that's absolutely why I gave that talk. I want people to know that there are alternative methods, natural ways of farming that have existed for centuries and that they should look into it and start practicing it because we only have 30 to 60 years of good topsoil left if we keep doing conventional agriculture and tilling. So one way we can do it is to exercise traditional natural farming, and that's a way we can reverse it, if not restore the soil overall.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah. And that's also nice when we're talking about being self-sufficient and farming where you live. We no longer are dependent on any fertilizers coming from Russia or Ukraine, especially with the events that are happening around the world today in particular. It is great to be able to be self-sufficient on our farm and not be dependent on any other countries for what we need, especially if those are countries that make petroleum-based fertilizers. So you can make your own fertilizers and pesticides naturally at home using the traditional natural farming method. Tim and I are working on a book together, and we'll have more information on the release date for this. But sign up for our weekly newsletter on our website at sprinklewithsoil.com and get information as to when the book will come out.
Yeah, super excited to work with you on that. And finally, we got to share the stage and talk about how to find property to begin your homestead. And that was fun. Actually, the most fun about it was talking to people afterwards. We had a lot of people come up and say, we've listened to your podcast. It's really motivating to hear that there are people that are actually listening in to what we have to say, because we're just having a discussion here on what's going on.
Yeah, it really motivates us because we literally had a really full day today. And here we are. It's now 11:40 and we get to record our chat for you. But it keeps us going because this is the time that both you and I have time to connect because our lives are so busy with working and farming and homeschooling and traveling as well. This is for us a way to talk and connect and also share our stories with all of you. And honestly, that probably is more motivating for us to set some time aside because we just like knowing that there are other people that we can give to and inspire or give some sort of hope out there, because we've heard a lot from you and it really does touch us. There were some people there that were kind of unsure, and when they did come up, they spilled everything about what they were going through. So it's great to be able to meet people, because this is kind of like a one-way conversation that we're having into the black ether, talking to our kitchen, So it's nice to put some faces together. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really encouraging because we were in your shoes. We totally understand what it was like just a few years ago, and we were attending like Polyface Farms and other homesteading conferences and going up to speakers and just listening in the podcast. We wanted to digest as much information as possible because we wanted to feel confident to take that next step. So anything that we can do to help you in your homesteading journey, that's really cool. I mean, that's super humbling for us because that's exactly what we want to do. We want to inspire you and for you to learn from any of the mistakes that we've made so that you can do it even faster.
Yep. And so the next time Tim and I share the stage together on the same topic, and maybe an extra one or two, we'll be at the Back to the Land Festival this October 18th to 20th. We have a discount code as well. So if you go to backtothelandfestival.com, you'll be able to use the code TIM5, TIM5, and you'll get $5 off your VIP tickets. And it'll be really great to meet you there as well.
Yeah.
On that note, I am heading west.
You are?
Yes, I think I did tell you. I'm telling you now.
I want to go.
Someone's got to watch the farm. But it's been since 2022 since I really spent time in California, and I work remote. So there's really not been a need for me to have to fly back or travel back, especially with everything we've got going on here. I have enough to stay busy. But Google actually reached out, Google headquarters in Sunnyvale, and I have some time with them this June. So I'll be doing a 2-day presentation with them there, and then also doing a book tour with Chelsea Green. So I have more details that will be finalized soon, but if you are on the West Coast, I'd love to see you, whether at Google or at any other smaller mom and pop shops that I'll be doing presentations at.
What does a tech company want you to talk about?
I mean, that's actually where I found Joel 13 years ago when Joel was talking also at Google about Folks This Ain't Normal. So it's just really awesome to see this come full circle.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
After all of these years and being inspired by him, his work, living this lifestyle, to be able to be invited at Google to talk again. The last time I spoke at Google, it was on the I Remarkable series and helping women who are in tech roles to understand their worth and to speak up. So here we go.
I was going to say, you're not a stranger to speaking on the stage in the tech world, but this time around you're going back, but you're going to be talking more about Nourishing food.
Nourishing food, but also regenerative agriculture.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Something around.
Yeah.
Cool there.
Yeah. And I think that Google is actually implementing and testing kitchens. I think they also have a garden at their headquarters. All the things that Joel had talked about 13 years ago about how they should be implementing these things.
And they're doing it now.
And they're doing it. So it's
That's
great to be a part of it and the next gen, I guess, to make this happen at Google, which is great because my whole story has been about how I went and left high tech for low tech. And now here I am going back and changing in my little way, the high tech world to adapt and incorporate some of the low tech beautifulness of living.
Hey, you have a magazine over there too.
Oh, yes. So if you haven't heard of the Homesteading Monthly magazine, this is a great magazine that features some of the best homesteaders. I know Joel Salatin has written in here as well, Anne Briggs, Melissa K. Norris, Carolyn Thomas, all of our really cool friends. And they had asked me to write an article several months ago, and it just got featured in the April edition. I just love the title, Venturing Beyond the Valley. So if you, as soon as we get this podcast up, I invite you to sign up. You will still be able to read the digital version of the Homesteading Monthly. I don't think you'll be able to get the print version, but at least you'll be able to read this. Highly recommend it. I even have some recipes in here. So if you haven't bought the book yet, you can get access to it. So the pickled carrots and daikon and the Vietnamese chicken noodle soup, which I have the masterclass for. So if you want to learn how to make the recipe that's in this magazine and in my cookbook, that's available as well. And I will also have the link for you to subscribe to the Homesteading Monthly magazine for you to take a look at all of the other articles that are in the magazine, as well as the one that I just wrote.
And the best part is we just got invited to speak at the Modern Homesteading event next year.
2025, baby.
I'm super excited about that.
Going to Idaho.
I'm going west.
It's been a busy week. So this Thursday, I was invited to speak at the Children's Homeschooling Co-op that they attend. And there's been a teacher that they've been learning how to self-publish a book for the last several weeks. And she invited me to come in to share my perspectives on the differences between working with a traditional publishing house and self-publishing. Our oldest one is working on her very first cookbook, and it will be the children's version of the cookbook. And then the little one is working on her children's farming and storytelling book. So she's recounting literally all of the animals that we started off with on the farm and how our farm has grown. And it's going to be a coloring book. So it'll be really cute. But they're self-publishing, and it's going to be exciting for them because I guess we're all going to be authors by the end of the year.
Following your footsteps. But I'm super excited because the children's cookbook is not only for children, it's also for dads too. And I can't wait because I'm going to be using that cookbook, and the little one doing the coloring book. That's going to be fun. Yeah,
she's having a lot of fun. She wants to be a mobile veterinarian. Mm-hmm. Or if you listen to our podcast with her on her birthday, it was Veteranian. Which is so cute. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about some farm updates. Somehow this week, we also squeezed in getting our garden in, and it was really nice because we got all of our starts from a neighbor and mentor of ours. He has SIBO and really has a hard time digesting dairy products, but he loves and has no problem digesting our dairy. And so we share with him and his wife our milk products. She also makes sourdough for us because we are in a real busy season right now. Yep. And it's only going to get a little bit busier until fall. Mm-hmm. Maybe December.
I think through fall too.
Yeah. And so because of that, I haven't been keeping up with my sourdough. But what's beautiful is that I also had shared with her my resource to get the most organic and freshly milled grains from someone who sources extremely clean. And what's nice is now she's making and baking all of our sourdough products for us, and we're sharing with them. In return, we are giving them a lot of our dairy. We're also getting our garden starts, which is great because we have about a quarter of an acre of our garden in the back.
Yep.
And it's already filled up already. So we're so grateful for this because we don't yet have a greenhouse, nor do I feel like I want to put one up right now. We've wanted to for a while, but it just hasn't been a priority because of all the things that are going on. And it's just sometimes a lot less stressful for me to have to worry about starting from seeds in a greenhouse. I can start and sow seeds into the ground and I have less stress there. But to start in January with our seeds, it's just another thing that we haven't had the bandwidth for because we still work too, as well, on top of everything. So it makes it pretty difficult.
Yeah. And that's another testimony to building community and finding the right community, because we can't do everything. And you're going to find that too. When you start your homesteading journey, you can't pay for everything. You can't do everything. There's not enough hours in the day. But if you have people within your community that are focusing on doing starts or doing sourdough, and we're in it with dairy, and we've got meat birds as well right now, we're keeping ourselves busy. And there's plenty of things to keep you busy on the homestead.
That's right. Another thing this week is, our meat birds. We've had to move them out of the brooder, and they're going to be going out into the garden. And then Lily, our livestock guardian dog, is looking like she's about to pop with another litter. So this will be our third litter. So we're prepping for that as well. We also have a bottle-fed lamb. I think you heard from our last update. So she is surviving and thriving. We actually took her to the Farmer You Live conference, and she was a hit. Her name's Daisy.
Yep.
And then we also got gifted another lamb. So it's just a lot of moving pieces. We have 2 beef cattle that will be going to the butcher by the end of the month.
Yep.
We also had to, did we talk about harvesting Lazarus?
I don't know if we talked about it.
Did we talk about it in the last update? That was another thing that happened this last at least 2 weeks. It's been
right before the Farmer You Live conference, and I was trying to move those 2 beef cattle out to our first paddock so that we could power feed them. And while I was doing that, I had my back turned, and Lazarus,
our ram,
yes, he hit me, and
he rammed you in the back.
He ran me in the back, caught me by surprise, caught me off guard, because I thought that only happens when he's kind of like in heat or something like that. And I thought that was last October. He was starting to get kind of moody there, and I was around the ewes. But this time around, I wasn't even around the ewes. It was just the 2 beef cattle. And so when he hit me, it kind of caught me off guard. I was like, whoa. And one of my good friends, he's our neighbor and mentor, he said, that's the most dangerous animal on the farm is actually a ram. And he's even seen a ram take on a bull and win. Yeah. So it's a very deadly animal. And
the children were in the paddock as well, trying to help us move. And so we had to take action on that very quickly because it's a safety concern.
So I put him down, and Sophie and our children got to work and harvested him like pros. It was really good.
So, I mean, it's been full. He's now been dry aging, I think, for 14 days because we haven't yet had a chance to put him all away. But at the same time, I kind of like that he's dry aging in there. It is nice. Like, we are lazy gardeners, lazy farmers, and I'm a lazy chef. I like to make sure that things actually get better over time, such as sourdough, because the longer fermentation is actually better for you. The longer the animal hangs, the better for you and the better taste it has.
Well, there is a limit, though. So I know before you guys comment, before it becomes like jerky, I do know that there is a time limit. So we will get to him. Yeah.
21 days. I'm giving it 21 days.
That was our farm update.
Yeah, that's our farm update. I think that should be it.
Okay. So let's give a housing market update. I've been super busy. This past week alone, I had 2 clients fly in to look at properties, and the rest of the next few months actually are booked up because the weather's warming up. Things are going crazy on the news. and I'm already showing properties for the next few months.
Yeah, we've seen this come in waves. I think what happened the last time we saw this recently was when AT&T and Verizon went down.
Yeah.
And then your phone on that Friday when you had an opening, it just like got booked up like crazy.
Blew up.
And the same thing this time, we were talking about how the CPI reports came in, the student debt forgiveness, and what was the other one?
For this week?
Yeah, rising tensions in Iran.
Iran's going on. China's pulling sanctions on the U.S. Russia tested an intercontinental missile. A lot of crazy stuff is going on this week. And so Monday's schedule's like filled up within 24 hours. And so people are taking action.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see all of the inquiry for Tim on the real estate side, me on the lending side, when there's unfortunate news, right? And sometimes that's what it takes for people to take that action. And I get it. It's not ideal, but you also need to understand that there's a lot of people out there. And when Joel Salatin calls it the homestead tsunami, we see the waves. We literally see the waves come in because his calendar gets booked up.
Yeah.
And so just know that. And if you're in a position to make a move, make it sooner rather than later. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just being completely realistic with what I'm seeing on the financial market as well with the 10-year treasury and bonds. Rates. Last year, they said that they were going to make 6 rate cuts. They have not made any rate cuts. In fact, now they're saying that they're going to make 3 rate cuts this year. And the experts that I listen to, they predict that the interest rates are going to continue rising, at least for this month in April. And I just don't know. I've talked to several other partners and brokers just to see what they're seeing, what their predictions are, because I, again, am more of a realist. I want to know that if there's hope, if rates are going to drop, that's great for me. Great for my clients who have bought in the last year or two since 2022, where we all have an opportunity to refinance. But the economic data shows that the recent data on employment, manufacturing, and inflation has been stronger than anticipated. And because of this has caused the bond yields to rise, which in turn pushes mortgage rates higher. So I don't see the rate dropping. In fact, I think on Friday, I got like 4 notifications that rates were increasing and then decreasing and then increasing twice. And so it's just been extremely volatile lately, and especially how we ended the market yesterday. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm receiving a lot of inquiries in East Tennessee as well as in Western North Carolina now. But not only just on the buyer side, on the sellers too. I have pocket listings. This past week alone, there's a beautiful farmhouse that's over 100 years old that's fully renovated. It's a beautiful farmhouse that should be featured on something like that Homesteading magazine there. And it's in Monroe County in East Tennessee. So that's in between Chattanooga and Knoxville with 4 acres. It's going to be a little over $500,000. And it's basically a move-in ready homestead. It's got a cow stanchion, multiple fruit trees, a lot of things that a homesteader would appreciate.
Well, what about water and electricity to the barn?
It has electricity to the barn. It also has its own well and septic, but if you want public water, it already has that as well. So everything that you would even be thinking about, and it's also fairly flat too. So perfect for growing. It's supposed to hit the market at the beginning of May. I think this thing's going to be sold before then.
Well, I think that's why it's such a huge benefit for people working with you, because we both know what our clients are looking for, which, by the way, most people are looking for all of the same thing. That has not changed from our last update to you. Everyone's in the similar price range, looking for the same thing. So if you're working with us and we have something that fits your profile, we will let you know this is what's hit the market. If anybody's interested, just let us know.
Yeah.
You have had like 4 other sellers reach out to you.
I do. I also have sellers, like, for instance, if you're looking for raw land, I have a seller in Jefferson County with multiple plots of land that he wants to sell to homesteaders to build on. So I'm contacted every day by both buyers and sellers. Sophie and I are very familiar with the California market and how hectic it was, how most people would say that was like a bubble. Well, even though the California market has slowed down a little bit, the homesteading market, whether it's Tennessee, North Carolina, or any of these other states, they have picked up significantly. In fact, this past week alone, I was helping my buyers who wanted to put an offer on a property, and they were thinking about putting 20% down, which is very respectable, but it was a multiple offer situation. And I found out that there were multiple offers that were cash over asking.
Wow, I'd say that's even worse than California.
This wasn't a move-in ready property either, but this property had a lot of potential and it was at a great price.
Well, I mean, are they investors or are they homesteaders? Do you know who's buying? Cash with over asking? I mean,
that doesn't seem very prudent for an investor to be offering over asking with cash and knowing that they have to put more money into it to flip it or to renovate it. So it's got to be another homesteader. So it's multiple homesteaders.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because we're starting to see that the people that are finally jumping into the homesteading market now are the ones that like don't have time to waste, and they're aware of that. So they're having to pay over asking. And so just know that the competition is ripe for land that you can grow your own food on.
It is.
And I feel like the way that the market is heading with rising interest rates, it is going to become more and more difficult because we all know that all the markets are manipulated, whether that's the education system, the financial system, the military, the food system, and now the housing market. It's all manipulated. And especially around homesteading and land, where we aren't making more land, they are making it more and more difficult for us to get in. And I don't know how else to share that information other than like, if this is something that you wanted to do, don't hesitate to get started. It is better for you to get in, start learning, start building community, and then refinance when the opportunity comes up. When we were in California in 2020, 2021, and we saw the interest rates down to like 2.25, everyone was coming in over asking. And that's because everyone was like understanding this is a great time for us to either upgrade, to move out, to buy something better, to go from a condo to some residential property, to single family, to land. And now what is completely unique in the market, which I haven't seen ever, and I've been doing lending since 2006. So that's 18 years now that I've been in lending. I haven't ever seen it where the rates are high, price of the home is high, and people are coming in over asking with cash. That is a unique scenario for me to see in this market, and honestly really frightening for our clients who are wanting to live this lifestyle, and we are trying our very best to make that happen for them.
Yeah, and I don't want you to be disheartened when I share that story, and that my clients were competing against multiple cash offers. They still stood a chance because Sophie and I, we have tactics in which we implemented when we were back in the Bay Area helping VA buyers who were going in at zero down, going up against a lot of cash offers and those that were using their stock options. And we were still able to succeed and win out on a lot of multiple offer situations. So we do have tactics that we can put into play. My clients in particular, this was their first time making an offer on a property, and they're a little gun shy about it. But if they had given me the green light, we would have implemented those. And I'm a competitor, and I know Sophie's a competitor. We would have gotten it done. So you want to share that it's not too early to start, because that's one of the questions that I often get is, Is it too early for us to start seriously looking, even if we're 6 months, 12 months out? Absolutely not. And just as Sophie just mentioned to you right now, things are not getting better right now. So you need to start monitoring the market. Contact me so that I can start that search for you. Contact Sophie so you can understand what your budget is, because that's extremely important, especially with the interest rates. As the interest rates rise, your buying power starts going down too. And that will also affect the areas in which you can start your homestead. You may have a very detailed checklist right now as to exactly what you want, but if the market continues to get manipulated like this and the interest rate starts going up, then your options are going to be far less if you're going to wait later on in this year. So it's best to start early.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. One of the things that you often say to our clients is that 85% rule.
Yeah, there is absolutely no such thing as a perfect homestead. Something that I always ask my clients, if you had to rate it after seeing a property from 1 to 10, 10 being the best property or the absolute perfect property, there's never a 10 out of 10. Even if you had millions of dollars to put into something to custom build property, you probably would have wished the very next day that you made a change or a tweak here or there. So there's no such thing. Even Joel Salatin, who purchased Polyface Farms or started Polyface Farms, it took him over 40 years to get it to where it is today. So it does take elbow grease. It does take sweat equity in making that property into something that you want it to become. And so I always tell my clients, if you rated it at least a 7.5 to 8, then it's good enough to at least make an offer on that property. If it checks off a majority of the blocks on your detailed list, then it's good enough to make an offer, because I always want my clients to know their options. And just like what Sophie mentioned, they're not making any more land. In fact, they're making it even more difficult for you to own land, to own property, so that you can actually grow your own food. So you need to get started right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest takeaway we wanted to bring to you on this housing market update, is that we were hoping that the interest rates would start going down. We have clients that want to refinance, right?
Yeah, they reach out to me often, and I have alerts for them, but I'm like, it's not ready. I apologize. It is continuing to rise. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. We are recording this now on the 14th of April, and from what we just heard, Iran just attacked Israel. And so with rising tensions, I really don't think that interest rates will drop. But again, the market is manipulated. We don't know. The most important thing is focus on the things you can control. And if that is beginning to invest in skills where you're at, or beginning to farm where you live, wonderful. But if you are also wanting to make that move, reach out to us and we'll let you know if it's viable or not.
Absolutely.
And yeah, financially, if there's anything available, but land in East Tennessee and West North Carolina starts at $10,000 an acre and can go up to like $100,000 an acre. It really does vary, but land has not been getting cheaper. Historically, it hasn't really ever been, and it is a great investment. It is something that is a tangible asset that you can hold. We also had someone else reach out to us after our presentation to say, hey, I didn't realize that I could buy land and then lease it out to farmers, because that's what we are doing, because it works out. Again, these are the only farmers we would have offered this with, and they are in our local area. But if you are in a position to do that, save a farmer, or buy into something where you might not be able to farm now, but you can farm later, so you can lease now, that would be great. Or you can use it as an investment. Real estate does not go down in value. Very rarely does. And when it does, it really does tend to tick back up.
Yeah.
I saw it in 2008, again in 2012, and it's only been climbing since.
Okay. We don't want you to fall into a common pitfall, which is just comparing price per acre and you're just shopping online for land or property and doing that, because you have to step back and take a more holistic look at what you're looking to do to homestead. And a lot of people who've come up to me, they're not just looking for just land or looking for property with water on it. They're looking for a place, a state, a county that has laws that are friendly for homeschooling, or laws that are friendly for homesteading, that they're not going to be limited on the amount of chickens that they can raise, or that they can actually have roosters too. So it actually gets a little bit more complicated, because you're not just looking at the land and how much value, like how much money you can get for land. You actually start having to consider like what state it's in and what county, what areas, and are the people, the community that we talked about. We always harp on community. I always encourage my clients to go out and do a recon and visit those communities to make sure that the people that are around you, that their values and what they like align with yours, okay? Because that's absolutely critical. And so there are several factors that you need to take into consideration. If you want to learn more about that, I've got a free homesteading guide that you can check out. Again, homesteadingrealtor.com. Sophie and I are available. We're more than happy to help you. We want you to take that next step. So if you are already learning those skill sets and starting to dream about homesteading on your own, what's stopping you? Reach out to us today. We love to help you answer the call to farms.
Thanks everyone for joining us on our update.
Yeah. Have a great evening.